What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. It's Phoenix coming to you with another video on Friday, January 6th. If you like this content, as always, I appreciate the likes and support. I read every single comment. So if you like this content, hit the like button, consider subscribing, share my content with others, help grow the developer pleb group and community within EOS as I take you on the journey of what I'm learning and building within the space, especially within the Web3 space, smart contract space. A little bit of background. Earlier this year, as you guys know, completed a bootcamp course or bootcamp group. Actually, I had to apply for that. And since that time, I've been slowly applying that knowledge, which is mostly Web2, React, traditional database, Node backend type skill set to EOS and Web3. And so since that time, I've sort of started to build out a lot of the front end components of my React Native mobile application. You can find the videos in the previous weeks I've done, sort of as a journal that documents the progress I've made. And this particular set is geared more towards developing an application that allows for asset leasing and provides rewards to users in a really, I feel, unique way. And so this week I spent a significant amount of time getting my developer environment back up and running. I should provide some context for that. I recently purchased a new laptop, the MacBook Pro with the M1 chip. I wanted to purchase this and upgrade it because, frankly, my old laptop was just inadequate for some of the things I'd like to do. It was an older, just really minimal laptop. So one of the challenges with the M1 is the support or the compatibility with EOS Antelope software and getting it installed. And so I kind of struggled, believe it or not, past day in getting that resolved. I was ultimately able to resolve it using a resource I found, which I'll post in the comments below. A gentleman named Benobi. So shout out to him. He had a blog, Benobi.one, which contained a lot of information about how you can enable functionality, how you can enable the Antelope EOS type functionality, basically installing the Intel Brew on the M1 using something called a Rosetta and coming up with this alias he characterized as iBrew, which there's a whole there's a whole solution set that describes step by step what to do. So after kind of following that setup, I then transitioned to following another resource guide I found by the name of Mike D. So shout out to Mike D. And Mike, it seems like, is mainly focused on developing games on the Wax blockchain, which is a sister to really EOS blockchain. It's based on the same software. So you can take a lot of what Mike illustrates, and he made a series of videos. It's about 9 videos. So it is a time commitment to go through all of them. I actually did go through all of his videos and also interacted, with a lot of the contracts he developed. I went through line by line, sort of ensured that I can interpret and understand exactly what's going on with each aspect of the implementation of the code base, right? Because if you want to build your own, part of it is you have to also understand what the structure is for these things. And so after that, this morning, I've been focused mainly on mapping out what different elements of the contract I'd like to start building out. And so what I'm showing here today is sort of an illustration of what I guess my brain was thinking or envisioning for the start of this interaction with the this mobile application I'm building. So the whole idea, and just to back up a whole second here, I'm building this application with React Native, and the idea is to connect it and tie it to the EOS blockchain. Starting with the test net, I have a test set up with like Samsung mobile device that I've showed previously. So I want to get the connectivity now with the blockchain, probably with the test net that starts to store data, various types of data, states, and probably have a mirrored um, architecture where I'm leveraging both Postgres databases as well as the Antelope EOS, blockchain based systems to illustrate state of, say, a user's status within my application. And so what I'm showing here is the start of that documentation or architecture. It helps, at least for me, when I've built even small apps to sort of diagram out how I want the applications to function or how I think the logic will work in them. And so to start with, what I thought I'd do is come up with a solution for, say, a premium account that actually has an EOS account. This would be geared towards, or this would assume perhaps there is documentation that's out there that would enable me to, say, tie in um, EOS hardware wallet or wallet on a mobile device to my mobile application. I think right now that's probably a little challenging to do. I have done the integration with like a web application with EOS, but I don't know of a solution set or documentation that would enable me to do this with a React Native application using a solution set, for example, with Anchor. So if anybody's aware of that and can help me out, I'd appreciate in the comments below pointing me in the direction where I can find that so I can apply it to my project. But in the meantime, what I'll do is I'm going to set up kind of two different structures, probably starting with the more easier one. Um, I'll have like maybe a way to just use my own EOS account for now, which will have, like I'll have my keys in there and my name. So it'll have an EOS account name, a public key, and a private key. And I will go ahead and store user uh, account IDs and their information in a mirrored set where I'm using a Postgres database that would be stored through a provider, as well as storing uh, certain aspects of their accounts reflected on a what I call a EOS or Antelope actions timestamp table where I'm hashing different actions I'm doing perhaps to the network to show integrity of my system, as well as perhaps basically creating records, user tables, if you will, within a user accounts table. And that would have, a user ID, an account name, preferably an EOS account, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, as well as an account type and some pointer to my rewards table, which I'm going to get into next. So this is a very simplified approach. Obviously, there would be a lot more here. And just for some aside or some context, the solution set I'm using here just to visualize this is called a scale draw. I did mention that before as something I use to kind of visualize these relationships. And sort of what I like to do is I like to kind of go back and forth between a scale draw and something like DB Designer, where I can sort of map out these processes or data structures, and then tie that into my backend visually. Illustrate the relationships through something like DB Designer. I find that very interesting, or very useful, I should say. And I'm wondering if you guys do too, or what tools you guys use. So now on to the second part that I want to build out today. And this is the rewards contract, or the rewards portion of the contract. And the whole idea here, guys, is that as users interact with these assets, we want to leverage the blockchain technology to distribute rewards and show the power of EOS permission system at some point. But for now, I think the rewards concept is a little easier to demonstrate, apply. Not sure what the right word is, but it's basically a little bit easier to show. So the whole idea with this is And I kind of tried to visualize this, and I'll zoom in here. The whole idea is that, if someone's leasing an asset or a facility using this platform, a certain percentage would actually go back to them, because they curated, perhaps a review of that asset or that facility, and their activity, especially at the start of launching or say marketing a facility on this platform, you know that initial experience, is important. It's very vital to not only the network, not only the application, but really that owner, the asset owner, right? And so one way to stimulate organic marketing and usage of this application, I feel, is some kind of reward system. And so we think about Airbnb, especially, there is no real reward system right now for you maybe trying out a new location, right? That's just got listed. I'm up here in the mountains and it's a little more rural. We're in some smaller towns and there are some nice places definitely to check out. And oftentimes, maybe someone might be interested in that, but maybe even providing them that incentive or having a unique way to reward them would incentivize them even further than, the typical run of the mill you see on Airbnb. And so I came up kind of with an algorithm that I wanted to run by you guys and hear, your take on it if you think this is worth doing. But essentially, it's just a mathematical expression that takes a couple inputs from the owner. So the owner could specify a reward percentage to actually distribute to the consumers that actually use these assets, and that would be available, in sort of a pool, kind of like a DeFi. It's basically within this contract, and there would be a certain time where these distributions would be paid out programmatically. And so this would be based on the mathematical expression of um, taking the profit target. So, an owner could have a profit target of say they want to make 100,000 in a year. Now that's a lot, but believe it or not, especially in some of these urban areas, there are some asset owners that are making that on Airbnb, and maybe there's some newer asset owners that want to, you know, level up to that, right? But they don't have the exposure or the reputation out there. So maybe they decide to, issue 10% profit using this platform. And that would incentivize, people who need these facilities, who want to lease them, to try them out, because they also get some income, right? Over the lifetime of this asset being listed on this network. And so, I kind of ran some math and I looked at, reward estimates based on, say, a 500 average $500 facility lease, and sort of showed, based on this mathematical model, that if you take um, the reward percentage specified by the owner, multiply that by the profit within that single transaction done by the consumer, and then you divide that by the profit target plus that single transaction amount, the profit from that single transaction amount, you end up with sort of an inverse, like an exponential decayed function, um, that starts relatively attractive. You could get somewhere between $70 and $80 on a $50 facility lease, and sort of starts to taper off to somewhere around 30, 25 to $30. So there's obviously, there is a limit to um giving away these rewards, but based on some of the math I've done, you're looking at hundreds of um of customers that would want to use or lease these assets. And there is some attraction there, that if the asset continues to be listed and remains fairly popular on the platform, or has some level of usage in any way on the platform, you know they could see that regular income from that, regular income occur from that. And so that I thought was pretty useful. I haven't really determined, for example, what the balance would be between. This assumes obviously there's an end all cap to this incentive structure. It'd be based on that profit target. But what I haven't been able to figure out is, if there's other mathematical models that would make this more attractive over the entire life cycle of the asset, being listed for all users. So, because one of the challenges would be like, so once this asset exists for a long time and the asset reaches that cap, what incentive do users have to, you know, continue using it compared to say new asset listings? And so that's an area I'd like to, hear from the audience. If you guys have ideas on what maybe I want to look into to help encourage that, I'd really be open to it. I have thought, for example, I did add here as a parameter a reward expiry. So the idea is that these rewards, they roll off. They may only be eligible for years worth of rewards. So, you pick an asset, you stay in it, you pay, and then you have this sort of reward that gets processed back to you. And maybe after a year or 2 years, there's an expiry. So it keeps some opportunity for rewards of certain assets, and it helps to sort of curate or discover assets that might be more attractive, or it's sort of a natural way to do it. So I thought it was really interesting. And you can see that I have a table structure on the bottom. It's more of a struct within EOS or C++, where I have like an asset ID, a revenue to date, that would be updated, platform cost to date, profit to date, a reward percentage, a profit target, and the current reward. And so I've already come up with the algorithm on Excel to translate this into the contract. So the next step would just be to put together that struct table and probably put it on the test net, and then link that to a rewards table. And that's shown on the bottom here, where you have like a reward ID, facility ID, an EOS account, a reward percentage, and the created date, of that reward. So again, the idea is that with that creation date, they might roll off, but you can also track, you know, for a facility, that payout, every time revenue comes in, what that distribution should be. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. I'd love to hear comments as always on this project. It's been fun. And, I obviously am really excited to see the growth of developers within EOS. I'm going to continue developing, maybe not to the, uh, I guess, aggressive or speed I've been the past couple weeks, because I might be ramping up here and doing some other work. But I will try to, as time permits, particularly on the weekends, I will be probably doing these videos geared towards developers, and taking you on the journey of really developing this product and application. So those that are interested, please get in touch with me. It's been fun, but anyways, I really appreciate you guys checking out my space today, and I hope everybody's having a great day. And until next time, this is Phoenix signing off. Peace.